Morning. It was the year 1995 that I want to take you back into. You were probably not probably, you were most certainly not even born then. I was just finishing my class 12 and I was very confused about what was happening to me. I didn't know what I'm feeling is normal or abnormal. I was attracted to men and I was extremely confused about it. It took me some time to sort of understand those feelings and get over that fear of what was happening. And at the same time, another emotion took over, and that emotion was of guilt. I have a very close friend of mine who was with me all the time. We used to travel together, be in the college together, and then go home and talk to each other. And we would discuss everything. But this part of my life was completely hidden from him. I was so confused and ashamed myself that I wasn't sure if I should share it with him. I was also very scared. What if I tell him that I'm attracted to men and he then finds it weird and then just stops talking to me? And that fear, guilt, confusion was so overpowering that it almost led me to a point where I said, I cannot take it anymore. I was 16, he was 16, and I took him out one day in the evening and we sat down and I told him, I need to tell you something. He said, okay, what? And I said, I think I'm gay. There was a silence for a few seconds. And to me, it looked like it was many, many hours. And then he replied, okay. So I said, what do you mean by okay? He said, it's okay. So I said, do you even understand what I'm talking? He said, yes, I understand what you're talking, that you're gay. And how does it matter? And that was a movement which I think changed my life. Somebody who's very close to me, somebody whom I really, really like, and he's like family, gave me an unconditional acceptance for who I am. And that was a journey, I think, that has led me to be in this event today, where I said, I'm okay. There is no problem to be solved. That unconditional acceptance then helped me to gradually start the journey of exploration about who am I, what is happening to me. Remember, this is the era where internet was something which we were just hearing about. 1995 was the time when internet was just coming to India. We didn't know what was happening about that internet, and we did not have any resources. There were no books which could tell me what is happening to me. I met a gentleman then who sat me down and he explained me things that were happening to me, things that I was feeling. He said, you are a part of LGBT community. And I was like, what is that? Is that like some sort of an illness that I have LGBT? I remember how hysterically he laughed. I had never heard that word before. And then he sat me down and he explained me what is LGBT. He said L is basically women who physically, emotionally, sexually are attracted to women. And I said, okay, I'm not lesbian, I'm sure of that. Then he said the G is gay, where a man is attracted to another man emotionally, physically, and sexually. And I said, I'm not sure if I'm gay. Am I gay? Maybe. And then, the two more confusing terminologies. He said bisexual is somebody who's attracted to men, or attracted to basically both genders. So, it could be a woman attracted to woman and man, or a man attracted to woman and a man. And that's when sort of things got a little confusing. I said, oh, maybe I'm bisexual, I'm not gay. Because gay is normal, right? I mean, that's the thought process in 1995, that you are not a part of the community, you are not conforming to the norm of getting married and, having children. Maybe I'm bisexual. That's how maybe, I will probably be little gay, little straight, and maybe I'll be bisexual, and I'll have a normal life where I'll get married and have kids. And then he said transgenders, which at that point was very confusing for me. So transgender is somebody who's born with a particular gender, like suppose it's a boy who's born as a male child, but identifies himself as a woman. So he is a transgender individual, or a girl who's born as a girl child and then identifies herself as a male child. And that I found a bit confusing at that point, because the cultural context then was to confuse transgenders with the Hijra community. So he said, no, Hijra community is a part of transgender community. And overall, transgenders are also part of the LGBT spectrum. Since 1995, things have changed. Now we have LGBTQAI+, and there are so many other terminologies. One terminology I think is very, very important in today's context is the word ally. Ally means somebody who is not from the LGBT community or the queer community, but is a strong supporter of the LGBT community. And we hope that, everybody who's on this call is an ally or a part of the LGBT community, where there is an unconditional acceptance of the other individual for who he, she, or they are, rather than conditional acceptance. I got a flavor of conditional acceptance. It was almost like a shock. In 2004, when I was finishing my post-graduation, my parents started, now you're finishing your post-graduation, you need to get married. And that's when I said, okay, you know what, I'm not going to get married to a woman. And then there was this huge pushback to why not? Finally, I came out to my mother, and it was very difficult for me, because that's when I realized the acceptance of me as a child was to a certain extent conditional. If you do this, then you are a good boy. If you do this, then I like you. If you do this, then you will receive these rewards. And that was a stark contrast to the unconditional acceptance that I had received from my friend, and following that, even many other friends. What did it do to me? It broke me down. It made me feel that even my mother cannot accept me for who I am. Then am I really worth it? It created a lot of self-doubt. Am I enough? Am I doing wrong? What do I do to receive the acceptance from my mother? It took me many years to realize that what my mother was feeling was not about me. What she was feeling was about her own insecurities and fears. Her fear that what will people say? Her fear that maybe she will not be accepted in the community. Her fear that what will happen to my child when he grows older. And that's when I started developing compassion for my mother, rather than the unhappiness or anger that I had for her. That I could understand where she was coming from. She was not being nasty to me. She was just scared. Talking of feeling scared, another incident which changed my life, I would say, was somewhere around 8 years ago. In those days, Facebook was still in vogue, unlike today. A friend of mine, a colleague of mine with whom I worked on day-to-day basis, posted something homophobic on Facebook. Homophobic is basically something which is derogatory to the members of the LGBT community. And actually what he had said was, to a certain extent, I would say borderline. It wasn't really directly homophobic. And I commented on that, saying that, what, this is, you really mean what you are saying here? This is homophobic. What happened after that was shocking. Publicly on Facebook, he humiliated me. He said horrible things about LGBT community. To the extent he said, I will never allow a member of LGBT community to come even closer to my children. This broke me down. I could not stop crying for many, many days. And this was the only and the first time I had faced homophobia in such a blatant and public manner. It created a lot of anger. It created a lot of anxiety. Again, it created a lot of self-doubt and fear. What will happen if medical community at large gets to know that I'm gay? What will happen? Will people still look at me as a respectable doctor or a competent doctor, or will they look at me as a gay man? Took me a couple of years to recover from that attack, and over a period of time, again in this situation, I realized that he was coming not from the point of view of aggression, but what he was coming from was ignorance. He did not know better. He's a nice guy. He's not a horrible person. He's a person who's ignorant. That then motivated me to start HPQI, or Health Professionals for Queer Indians, where the entire motto is to educate and sensitize healthcare professionals to the healthcare needs of the LGBT community. So turning something which is very negative into something very positive is what really gave meaning to what I'm doing. So what I do today is not because it's a nice thing to do or it's a necessary thing to do, but it is something that I do from personal experiences. It has become a passion of mine to do this, because I don't want anybody else to go through what I have gone through. So moving from fear to compassion has helped me also to stabilize and look at these people who are not accepting of me as not somebody who are horrible people or nasty people, but people who are confused, people who are scared, people who are coming from the point of ignorance. As you go through your life, you will see many of these people, be it your parent, be it your friend, be it your relative, and it may cause anger, it may cause fear, it may cause anxiety. The question to ask here is, what is happening here? What are they actually feeling? And how can I help them, rather than how can I fight with them? How can I help them to understand better? This also then led to formation of another interesting initiative that I run, which is called Seenagers, or Senior Teenagers. So you're teenagers, you behave in a certain way. Once you get older, you will again go back to your teenager behaviors, and that's what we do. We do all the fun stuff in Seenagers. We behave like kids, basically. Everybody is 50 plus, and that has given me a lot of insight into life. I have members of Seenagers who are in their 70s and 80s tell me, Prasad, I have wasted my life. I have not accepted myself. I have tried to hide myself behind a marriage or behind, conforming to life. And at the end of my life now, I feel that I have completely wasted my life and I have not lived my life enough. All these experiences have sort of made me think that if I were able to go back 25 years and meet myself in my teenagers, what advice would I give to myself? I think what I would tell myself is, first of all, to be kind. We are always kind to other people, or most of the time kind to other people. But there is one individual to whom we are most of the time very unkind, at least I am, is to yourself. Whatever I did was not enough. How much amount of work I did was not enough. I always pushed myself saying, no, this is not enough. You have to do more. You have to, go and do this for this person. You have to go do this for that person. You have to work very hard. You have to study very hard. You have to, I'm continuously putting pressure on myself. And not ever even once appreciating what I'm doing, not ever once appreciating what I have achieved. I would want my young self to be kind to myself and appreciate what I have done. The second advice I would give to myself would be to be grateful for what I have. And that could be just a simple thing like having a friend who accepts yourself or having a roof over your head. In today's day and age, having a good Wi-Fi. But being grateful would help you or me to appreciate what we have rather than focusing on what we don't have. In today's day and age of Instagram, we are continuously bombarded with what we don't have. Oh, I don't have six packs. Oh, I don't have this beautiful face. Oh, I don't have these sorts of fancy clothes, or I don't have this fancy car. And we often forget what we actually have. So be grateful for what you have rather than feeling concerned, worried, or unhappy about what you don't have. And the third and the last advice I would give to myself is to trust myself more and not question or feel confused. Trust my instinct, trust my capabilities, and trust my hard work more. I always did a lot, but because I did not trust myself, I kept feeling scared. I kept feeling worried. I kept feeling concerned, which sort of brought down my energy. But now I look back and I say, I need to trust myself better. So be kind to yourself. Be grateful for what we have rather than focusing on what we don't have. And trust yourself better is what I would also advise all of you. And be accepting of other people for who they are. Unconditional acceptance versus conditional acceptance. If one of your classmates is different, then rather than focusing on how different that individual is, focus on how similar you are. A conditional acceptance is not really an acceptance. So my advice would be unconditional acceptance to all of you and love to all of you. Thank you very much.